What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for as time progresses. I'm also going to talk about some very important levels to watch for on Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the news affecting the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I talk about what the options chain is suggesting for SPY and many other tickers, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Alright, guys, so I'm recording this at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do apologize if my audio is not the best. It only happens during the morning period, but I just wanted to mention that right now the market is showing some strength. We've invalidated this head and shoulders like pattern, and we're starting to make an attempt to break out. SPY just needs to break 452 for us to turn really bullish, and we're getting very close to doing that. So we're going to be watching for this to try to pop even more. Now, when it comes to data affecting the markets, we have some housing data that just came out. Housing starts month over month were a little bit hotter than what the forecast was. Besides that, it's all going to be just handed down to the Fed. We have Barr, Collins, Daly, and just another Fed speaker giving speeches for today. And on top of this, when it comes to news affecting the market, once again, you can see that the market is up so far. According to Walmart, Christmas may come relatively cheaper this year, which is something that's making people more excited. This could be, once again, a very interesting period of deflation in months to come. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it is one possibility. The aircraft manufacturer Boeing racked up about 295 orders across 4 days of the 2023 Dubai Air Show, so that's some good news for them. For the UAW, we're starting to see them ratifying a labor deal with GM, which is some good news for them. And finally, there's more political news coming out, which I'm not going to really talk too much about that. But that's it for news for the time being. There's nothing too crazy coming out thus far. When it comes to the options chain, I just wanted to note that we have about 1.3 million calls expiring. Then we have over 3 million puts expiring for today. The market makers could have benefited either way. If they drop the markets, they could try to get us closer to max pain. If they pump the markets, they could just continue to squeeze shorts. In this case, it's looking like they're going after the shorts this morning. They might try to squeeze the market higher. I also want to call out that when it comes to specific strikes in the market, we saw something very crazy happen overnight. We're seeing a lot of interest, open interest increases for that 451 strike, 453 strike, and then 455 strike for today. I find that very interesting. We have very high open interest, which happens to be at 455. So I'm wondering, are we about to get a squeeze to 455? A lot of data is suggesting that's likely. I just wanted to call out that when you look at SPY and we go all the way back to like the July period, you will see that we left a gap up here. There's actually a gap that hasn't to be filled up here. So if we break 452, we might start filling that gap. I think it's a little hard to see right here. Let me just show you this on the daily chart and my other chart. So it's going to be easier to see it here. We basically have another gap all the way up from July that might start to fill if we get that breakout. So it's right here. It's a little hard to see. Just give me 1 second. But this is very important because if we start pumping, we break that 452 area, there's a gap that'll take this thing up to 455. There's also another gap to about 455.6. 455 could be a good target for today, and I think we might actually try to fill this gap and see even more buyers stepping in. So this could just be a setup for a Friday short squeeze, a final short squeeze for the week, but we have to break this resistance at 452 first. All right. So if we're bearish, you want to see it basically lose 451, come back down to fill this gap down here, and eventually come back down below 450 and 448, and that's going to be bearish. If we're bullish, you want to see this break this resistance right here at 452. If that breaks, like once again, we're likely going to see this thing push for 453.5 and eventually 455. That looks a little bit more probable as it's trying to break out. Just wait and see. We're going to dip likely in the morning and see if this thing breaks 452. If that's the case, look for a push towards 455 most likely. On the QQQ, this is kind of flat right now, at least going into the pre-market, but it's still showing some life. If this is an accumulation, we could get a retest of like 388 if it starts breaking out again. But you want to see it get above 387. If we're bearish, you want to see this thing lose 384.8. If we lose that, it's going to come down to 383.5. If that fails us, it could get very close to 382. Right now, it looks like it might dip a little bit, retest 385, then try to bounce. We might see a push for 388. We might just see the whole market follow this trend, so just watch it carefully. Apple's starting to break down just a little bit, but I don't think it's actually breaking this trend line. I think I have to adjust this, but overall, it's not looking that bad. I'd say that we're going to be watching to see if support comes. Apple's still at 190, so it's not doing too bad overall. If we get this bounce here, we could get another push for 191, which could drag the market up. We'll be watching to see if Apple could bounce or not. This is going to be very important. Now, we had a potential topping candle on yesterday that basically formed, but there's no sign we're topping yet on Apple because it's still showing some life. So we're going to be watching to see if Apple could try to break to 191, maybe get a retest of that if we keep pushing higher and we're still seeing buyers defending it at this level. If you want to turn bearish, you want to see it lose 189, it's going to start sinking if that ends up being the case. As of right now, we're holding up quite nicely. On Nvidia stock, I just wanted to call out that Nvidia, once again, it's starting to dip just a little bit, but we're going to be watching to see if this thing could continue to push up higher. We might see an attempt to go higher. If Nvidia keeps breaking out, it could try to make its way up to 500 again. This could be forming like a cup and handle like formation. So there could be a more upside approaching its earnings. It may not be done just yet. So we're just going to be watching this just to see how it moves. We're cooling off a bit because we pumped it quite a bit yesterday, but the 4-hour time frame is looking bullish. We have this imbalance to fill. I think it might make its way up to 500. We're going to be watching to see how it reacts up there. Now, if we just go straight up to 500, the question is, do we reject and start coming down, or do we like end up breaking it and try to make our way up to like 504? Either way, it's, both of these are possible, but I think there's going to be an attempt to go higher. So watch it very carefully and see if we reject off 500 or not. Finally, for Tesla stock, the best for last, Tesla is looking quite a little weak this morning. We're making an attempt to rebound. We'll be watching to see if Tesla can retest 235. If we reject off of it, we could sink lower. And if we break that 230 support, we're going to be bearish. So you want to be very careful on Tesla. There's a lot of bad news yesterday. It's looking kind of weak so far. But on the daily, watch that 200 EMA. Make sure you see if 230.08 holds. If we hold 230, there's going to be some potential for trying to bounce. If we lose it, we're going to start sinking even lower towards the lower 220s. So there's going to be a risk of downside if we end up losing this support. So watch Tesla, see if this thing can break 235 and start pushing higher, or if we reject very close to there and we just start sinking. If we lose 230, we turn bearish. We'll be watching to see if Tesla could hold these levels. All right, 230 is critical support. 235 is going to be resistance to watch for. Let's see if Tesla can break out or not. Maybe the market could help it, but right now it's looking a little weak during the pre-market. So let's see what Tesla does. With that said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible day. I hope this video was helpful for the pre-market. The market's looking like it has bullish potential. We need to see resistance break. There could be a short squeeze, so just be very, very careful. All right, thanks again. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you, and peace out.